Hello everyone, welcome to March 2021, London Salesforce Developers. March is always a difficult one for us. You'll notice our numbers are reduced. That's because there's another event going on later in March that we'll talk about that always seems to consume a lot of people's time. Can't think what that might be, but you'll find out. Hold on to your hats. Our sponsors, as usual, Mobile Caddy, sorting out the recordings afterwards, BrightGen Zoom account. And thank you everybody for coming along and attending. Really good to see you all. Community news. So Spring 21 is live, woohoo! Which is what we're going to be talking about later on. The February World Tour recordings are up. I'm not sure when they came up, but I found those yesterday, so I put those in. There's a really interesting blog post about open sourcing the CLI, if anyone's into that side of things. Some real progress being made on that, and a lot of decomposition of Oakcliff, so you can kind of install different versions of the auth aspect of things if you want to. Wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but you can do that. And last night, the 2021 MVPs came out. So congratulations to all the new and renewed. And now we hand over to Todd, Amanda, anyone that wants to tell us anything more about London's Calling.
Woo woo. Todd, shall we?
Yeah, I'll let you go. I'll let you go first, Amanda. You do an intro spiel. You're excellent at that.
Well, thank you, sweetie. You'll notice the green screen behind me. Here's one I'm not playing with at all, but it's all in preparation for London's Calling, and I'm just going to have to figure out what to do with that. And I might not do a mega thing, but I'm sure there'll be stuff. It'll be very exciting on the day. And we are furiously preparing for London's Calling, which is just over a week away now, so not long to go. I hope you have your ticket and whether you have your T-shirt as well. They come in lovely colours. I've got a black one here, and Todd is sporting a beautiful red one as well. So and there's also a purple one too, which I don't have, but I know that Todd does have as well, because he's done beautiful images of himself dancing around in purple. So we have 3 colours this year, and whatever one takes your fancy, whatever one fits your colour scheme. So loads of talks, all pre-recorded, all in the bag, very, very exciting, a brilliant keynote as well. But the little point that I would like to make is a call out that I put onto a particular WhatsApp group that some of you might be a member of today, which was, I am looking for Salesforce Ohana pets. I'm looking for pictures and videos of your pets. They don't have to be long videos. It's just ideally as well of said pet, not just yourself, and pictures just of your pet as well. I'd like to know your pet name. Oh, hang on. I'd like to know the name of your pet, not your pet name. Sorry, got that wrong. Whoa. And also I'd like to know the parent name, i.e. yourself. So if it was Keir, then Keir would be the parent name, and Amber would be one of the dog's names, for example. And Evie, was Evie the other one, or was that the one who was?
Perfect, yeah.
Oh, look at that. There we go. I know all the important facts about Keir. So if you have some images or videos, I'm looking for about, say, 10 seconds or something. Stalker, thank you. Pet names. Well, it's only about the pet name thing. So if you have any pictures or videos of your pets and you are happy to share them and don't think I'm a stalker, then please send them to me and I can then do wonderful things with them. My email address, and okay, family safe, please, images as well, thank you. Going to my personal email address, which is amandabn1@gmail.com, and I'll put that into the chat later. And you can get a shirt. Please go to londonscalling.net and you can actually buy a ticket and you can buy a T-shirt from there as well. So for me, it is about your pets and your pet names if you really want to give me that information, but and your credit card number maybe as well, just to add that in too, and your mother's maiden name. Great, thank you. And but pets, please, that'd be lovely. And Todd, tell us any more.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So I guess wheeling back a step for people who don't know, London's Calling is a full-day community Salesforce event run by volunteers like myself and Amanda, and we're in our 6th year this year. The scope of contents is, I think, probably second to none. I think looking at what we've got so far, I think it's possibly the best year. there's a wide range of talks covering all levels of roles in the ecosystem, but specifically for the developer side of things, just plucking a couple of titles out the air. We're going to be covering PK chunking, org-dependent packages. I think may or may not come up, possibly. There's talks on JavaScript, Apex, Einstein OCR, some bits on testing and mocking, which I think is going to be really, really exciting, and performance as well. So for developers, I think there's an extraordinary broad kind of range of talks that are going to be out there, and definitely worth getting a ticket, especially as it's only a £5 plus fees. And not only do you get all of that content that's being supplied by members of the community, including people who are in this group here tonight, but as Amanda said, also we've got this extraordinary keynote this year, as hopefully we do every year. And so yeah, five quid is I'm hoping nothing. So that's happening on the 19th. I hope that's right. Somebody tweeted out, "Oh, I can't believe London's Calling's this week," and I went, "What? Oh." I had to change my underpants and realised, no, we had an extra week of time to prepare. But yes, so definitely recommend looking at. We'll post the links up in. I think that's it for London's Calling. Yeah,
not
it's
much
essentially
from us, really.
meets like this, and the admin meet, and the WIT, and the marketing group, and things all on steroids in this big virtual environment. So yeah, please feel free to come and check it out.
There's also fun. We've got sponsors. We've got fun with our sponsors as well. We have activities to play along with. So I know that we have the return of the caricature artist. If you didn't come last year and you didn't get a go, this is your chance now. This time round.
Competitions.
We have a magician, we have a silhouette artist, and we also have a virtual photo booth you can play with as well. So lots going on. Come enjoy the fun, and there will be random competitions as well happening during the day where you can pick up some swaggy things too. And I'm sure our sponsors, of which we have two that I can see in my eyeline straight away, may have some things going on too. So all very cool. So
right.
that's about it. Not much. Just a little thing that's happening next Friday.
Just a few things happening.
Yeah.
Per your point, Todd, I had a tweet lined up last week saying only 1 week to go until my talk, and then I thought that can't be right. That feels really, really soon. Sure enough, it was 2 weeks.
Yeah, you're like, I better finish off that title slide.
I'll be fine on the day. I'll just wing it. Yeah. Okay. Good. Oh.
Alrighty. So moving on. Favorite features. So you'll notice there's a lot of Kiers on here, which wasn't the plan, but we had some speakers drop out at relatively short notice. A few people had things come up. So you've been warned about this in the past. If you don't step up and speak, you're just going to hear more from me, I'm afraid. That's the way it works. Nobody wants this, but the solution is in your own hands. So it's basically me, Richard, then me. But if anyone else does have anything they thought they might talk to us about and they never got round to it, then now is your chance when we go to the Q&A at the end. So I'm going to start with fields. So fields, awesome. Looked awesome when I saw the release notes. Select groups of fields that name their names and get rid of all that code that iterates through field sets and the like to build stuff up. I don't have to go and do schema describes and pull all the information back. This will be wonderful. I can pull all fields back, just the custom fields, just the standard fields. So finally, we've got select star or a variant on that. And yeah, look, it's supported in Apex. That's the key thing I was concerned about, and various other places as well. Awesome. Or is it so awesome? Well, not quite, as it turns out. Oh, for some of these places, there are restrictions on what is supported. Boo. See about bounded and unbounded queries. Oh dear, this doesn't sound good. Let's go and have a look at that. And there's Apex. Oh, so it supports standard fields and not all, and not custom fields. So I can select easily all the things that I almost never select, apart from name and created date in my case. And in all seriousness, I do understand why this is done, because it's the same thing about doing a schema describe, pulling all the fields back and then querying a bunch of records. If there happen to be a whole ton of large text area fields of 130K, your heap goes pretty quickly. So having unbounded queries of that nature is just a really good way of blowing limits. I'm hopeful that we will get some sort of capability, possibly around the limiting of result rows. But yeah, it feels like we're heading in the right direction, but it's not quite what I was hoping for when I originally saw this and when I saw some of the hype. Good to see the CLI is supporting some of this stuff as well, though. Even the Unbounded, as long as you limit the result rows. It's good to see the CLI has made it as a first-class citizen in this way, because it is my favourite thing at the moment. And that was me for Fields. So I'm
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you tried it with the security enforced stuff to see if it makes a difference?
I haven't. No, I hardly ever use that actually.
Where's Peter?
One other thing, I think there's a limit on how many rows you can actually query with this.
There's the limiting result rows that you have to do for the CLI and SOAP and REST. Yeah.
Even in Apex, when I tried it in Apex, it forced me to limit to 200 rows.
What with standard?
It was through the developer console, but still, I think.
Yeah, developer console is a bit different though, isn't that anonymous
Yeah.
Apex via the API? So I think you'd be down at this bottom row.
Okay, possibly, yeah.
I used it in Workbench and the object only had 5 records and I still had to put a limit on it to get any results to return.
Just getting you into good habits. It's like locking your bicycle up when you leave it anywhere. Cool. So I'm going to stop sharing and hand over to Richard for his first topic.
Oh, can we?
Another favourite of mine.
Can we take any questions on that? I mean, we have Peter on the line. We could use them possibly if anyone has any questions on the Fields.
More than happy to throw Peter under the bus.
Yeah, I was personally wondering if there's I mean, I haven't seen anything on the roadmap that I've spotted for being able to define your own field sets, I guess, I think so. I want to select fields from, I don't know, select fields, Todd's fields, and be able to use that like application wide, for example. Is there any view on that coming in? Does that make sense? Have I asked it?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense to me. That's exactly the use case I was hoping for, that I could just define a field set, and rather than having to iterate it myself and figure out the fields, platform could do that for me. So the admin's got control over it, but my code can still use it.
Yeah, I think we've lost Peter.
As soon as you mentioned his name, it's like the opposite of The Conjuring.
Yeah.
Sent him away.
Scared him off.
We have lost him.
Can anyone else conjure up Salesforce employees?
I don't remember seeing anything much of roadmap stuff around that. It was all about, I think the roadmap bit is trying to get more of it into Apex at the moment.
Right.
The flouncy stuff going forward.
Okay.
It is interesting though, because the field sets have become a bit of a forgotten child, haven't they? I think, 6-7 years ago, everyone was using them and no one talks about them anymore, but they're a very powerful feature when we're using Visualforce and you want to make it dynamic. No, it's like gone. Haven't seen field sets in LWC come up anywhere recently.
We're still using them.
Okay.
With LWC. Yeah, as a way of allowing somebody to define a collection of fields that then appear that are kind of associated with a particular pick list value or something like that. But you have to do all the heavy lifting yourself at the moment with LWC.
Right.
But we did all that for Aura, so we've got a load of code that we could reuse. But yeah, it's nothing like as easy as it was in Visualforce.
The old days.
Oh. Okay.
All
Well,
right.
that's something to take up with them tomorrow then, I guess. And we'll try and get answers for in the future. Cool. Thanks, Keir.
Oh, Kim might have to go again next. I'm on a new machine and it's not happy. Let's see if it lets me share.
What'd you get?
I had to get another MacBook. Another one completely failed. I had to get something quick.
Get an M1?
No, unfortunately, because I wanted the. Won't be able to record the contents of my screen until it's.
Oh yeah, you got to bail out and come back again because.
Do you want to do your next one, Keir?
Yeah, I'll do my next. Basically, yeah, sharing is considered to be recording. So I've been through this when I got my new one a couple of weeks ago. I did it in front of a customer there. Hey, hey. Right, I will start sharing again. And I will get past this because I've already seen that. So the next thing, and this is interesting because we were talking about, I guess, a variant of this earlier on about what might be happening to sites. And this is sites and communities. But basically, if you've got a custom domain, so here's an example here, which is a genuine custom domain of mine, www.bobbuzzard.org. I use that for testing GAM integrations. Google Ad Manager integrations. And I've got that installed on an org at the moment, and I've got it as a custom domain, and I don't have any HTTPS to it, which means that come summer 21. So this is one of my favorite features from spring 21, because I know it's coming rather than everything stopping working. So because I've got no HTTPS configured here, come spring 21, this is what people are going to see when they try and access www.bobbuzzard.org. So that's probably not going to be great. I don't think. I'm going to have to do something about that. So basically, because it is a custom domain, there's nothing Salesforce can do to present a certificate for my domain, because I own that domain and they don't. So they can't do anything that verifies ownership. They can't prove it to a certifying authority. It all comes down to me. And you can see this is what actually happens here, is when I hit the secure version of it, because I haven't put my own HTTPS in place, it falls back on the default for the common name for the actual underlying site itself, which is why you start seeing things like a248.e.akamai.net and akamais.net. So there's wildcard things there if I was using the standard site name, but because I'm using my own one, I then need to go and find a certificate, which kind of sounds expensive, but doesn't have to be. Good news, Zero SSL. Basically, Zero SSL gives you up to 3 90-day certificates for free. So if you don't mind doing some work, if you don't mind renewing them every 90 days, and I've tried this, I've got this running on one site of mine. I don't know whether that's going to be too painful yet, because I haven't done it. Signing up in the first instance wasn't too bad, and I wanted to know how it works, and it actually is quite straightforward. But when I come to renew, if that's painful, I might go another route. So the short link shown there is a really good article, not mine, it's just my short link with my name on it. There's a really good article on setting up Zero SSL as the certifying authority for your custom domain and installing your certificate in Salesforce. Got screenshots of all the hoops you have to jump through. So basically just invest half an hour in that, sign up for a free Zero SSL account, and you will be able to get your domain going again. Other options are available. There's Let's Encrypt, which is a bit more near the wire. You have to do a few more bits and pieces yourself. But that certainly is an option. And there's also some of the SSL resellers can do you a year's certificate for like $7 or $8. So it kind of feels to me like after I've renewed a couple of them, I'll probably lose interest in doing that, and I'll move out and buy a cheap annual one. Yeah, I've got no great interest in spending a lot of money on this, because I'm not trying to monetize it or anything. It's just a test site that I use, but because it runs out of the site and part of the site's locking down for the custom domains, I'm going to have to do more on that. And when this is one that I have got secured through Zero SSL, so you get a grey lock in the URL bar. You don't get a green one because it's not been verified by providing paperwork and that kind of thing. I've just done something with the domain. I think in this case, I set up another CNAME according to their requirements. You're a bit of a hostage when you're doing this. They send you a list of demands that you have to do before it will give you access to it. But you get a grey one, and it does validate you're securely connected. It's verified by Zero SSL. But if you click through to the details, it will tell you that it expires in May. So I do think that is probably going to get quite old quite quickly, the quick expiry, or I'm going to forget, or I'm going to miss one, and then everything's going to be down. So that's probably when I'll start doing it differently. Yeah, and that was the end of my second one. So is Richard back, do we know?
I am back.
I could ask
Yes.
an obvious question here.
Yeah.
Is that a capital I or is that an L?
Oh, I don't know. Let me open it on another machine and look. I didn't notice that. I can change those back ends as well. They're back halves. I should have looked at that. Just give me a minute.
But that's in digital experiences now, right? The custom subdomain in your digital experience, is that right?
It will apply to a digital experience. Basically, if you're using a custom domain anywhere, it's up to you to provide the SSL for it, because Salesforce can't, because they don't own the domain.
Okay. Because we have some customers that have custom subdomains, so
yeah,
they might be asking questions.
Yeah, we've got a few as well. I think most of those are using SSL because typically their non-functionals require that kind of thing. I will find out that link and I will post it into the chat in a more readable format. I'm going to stop sharing now. There's no more. Well, we'll have more questions at the end if anyone thinks of anything anyway. But any more questions on that while we're here? Oh, well done, Stephen. Stephen's done it for me. Great. I'm done for the night. All right, Rich. If you want to share, you can share this time. I've got one more talk, so basically it's the last chance.
Host disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, hang on a minute. Sorry, you've just rejoined, haven't you?
Yeah.
I just need to make you co-host again.
Get it all set up before the start. There we go.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, org dependent packages. So me and Keir's favorite subject. So let me explain a bit. I'm going to speak more about this next week, as is Keir. But I think when Scratchals came out and DX and all the new second generation packaging, I for one got very excited about all the problems from before being resolved. And I've been in tears ever since every time I try and create a package for my own org. So unlocked packages were there for customers to build, just like you used to potentially using unmanaged packages to distribute changes between their environments, rather than having to use a third-party tool or use the old and migration toolkit. And there's been lots and lots of well-documented problems with that, mainly around dependencies. So the whole breaking up your happy soup is what my talk is about next week. And Keir's is about the soup and nuts, I hope, around actually making a package. Well, I hope that's what he's going to do. So just to give you an idea, one of the big changes here in Spring 21 is org-dependent packages are now generally available. And the big difference is you don't work with a Scratch org for these. You can't. So an org-dependent package is a package that will work on your org, that will deploy across your sandboxes into your production. What's great about that is you no longer have to worry about dependencies. You don't have to build a commons package anymore. You don't have to actually include unit tests in your package, but you'll find out when you try and install it, you do. So all that validation happens when you install the package, not when you're trying to create it, which moves a lot of the pain points. But obviously working in a sandbox, it means you can just put in the package the things you want to put in and not grab loads of other things that you didn't write, like a flow or some custom fields or any of that. You just put in, say, some Apex code that you want to manage and version and track and upgrade and downgrade. You create your DX project, create your unlocked package with an extra flag, org dependent, and you can install it wherever you want. So me and Keir, I think, are both speaking about that next week. Big plug. Breaking up is hard to do. I'm also going to speak about the traditional problems if you are not lucky enough to have only one Salesforce org and you still have to worry about breaking up your happy soup, then I'll be covering that material as well. And as I say, Keir will be covering the rest. Any questions? Silence. If I do my next one, Keir, then we'll go back to your final one.
Okay.
So next. This is one of, I'm glad Keir did a whole load of, oh, this is good, but you can't. This is one of those that I submitted when the guys asked for suggestions because I'd seen this and thought, this is great. Because I do work with Scratch orgs quite a lot. I work with Scratch orgs because I hate spinning up Environment Hub and creating people an org every time they want something. I say, here's the feature, go and use this Scratch org definition file, there you have that feature. And I was actually using this recently for Salesforce Connect, you know, where you connect an OData external service. Because if you use a D org, you can only attach two data sources. And one of them is probably the one you did on Trailhead, and that's usually not enough. So what's great is in Spring, they upped the number, or you provided a attribute for the Platform Connect from 1 to 5. That's there, and that works. But everything else on the right that might be useful, like how many custom fields you can have, enabling my Trailhead in the Scratch org so you can play with it, using the new order save behavior, walkthroughs, if you like those, or public sector, if you're in that area. None of these currently work that I've tried. All the ones I wanted to use. And if you check the official documentation, none of these are appearing at the moment on the full list. So I assume this is one of those, it's coming within Spring 21, but the release notes don't say that. It's not one of those, this is coming later features. But yeah, if you don't use Scratch orgs to get access to these features, do take a look at all the different things you can do. Because it will save you so much time to use a Scratch org to play with something than spinning up another org or another DE. That's it from me. Any questions?
I have one. I don't know, have you got into the org Scratch org shape pilot? Has anyone been on that?
Well, it's not pilot now, it's beta.
Oh, beta.
So
Sorry,
I'm talking about that next week, strangely enough. So Scratch org shape is quite cool because instead of having to say addition and things, you just say a source org.
Yeah.
What you'll find is weird with it is most of us will typically use our production org for our dev hub, and that's probably the shape we want to take as well. And you have to give your shape permission, your dev hub permission for your shape on the same org. So there's a little bit of, why would I have to do that? It's the same org. But it actually works quite well. So then you spin up Scratch orgs with the shape, but there are limitations with shape as well. There's still gaps.
Right. So I asked this just because when I'm in the business that we're in, we're spinning up Scratch orgs that need multitude of packages installed, and that's the bit that takes the time, right? So we've automated the whole data pre-population after watching Sean's talks at previous events. We now get all that stuff in there. What takes the time is the 10 minutes to install X, and then 10 more minutes to install Y. And the all shape cloning, I guess, is just take this.
No. So shape is just the features. Shape does this.
Oh, is that the snap? Am I confusing the snapshot with shape then?
Yeah.
Because there's the two. There is two. Maybe I'm talking about the other one. What I really want is I want to say
take the packages.
I want to say here's a Scratch or here's a like a devil that I've got in a completely ready status. It's got, I don't know, it might have the non-profit success pack in, a couple of other managed packages and whatever, and I just want to be able to spin that up exactly as like a clone of that.
Like a sandbox.
Sorry?
Yeah.
A sandbox.
I don't want one of them. I want to be able to
but I mean, like you do, spin up a sandbox
like
a copy of your metadata. That's the kind of thing that you want.
Yeah, and I thought that was the Scratch shape,
Yeah.
or is that the Scratch snapshot?
It's the snapshot. We've been on the pilot.
Right. Is that any idea when that's GA?
No, we haven't got any feedback yet. We've given our feedback to Salesforce. There's a few limitations with the pilot, but we're using it internally, and it is much better. If you've got sort of packages that take up to an hour to install, and you want to install 3 or 4 of those, it takes sort of 5 minutes to get a snapshot all set up. So it's still a big win, but there's some limitations.
Right. So you're going from hours to 5 minutes. That's the kind of win that you're getting. Okay, cool. I guess that's what I was really after, because at the moment our scratches take probably half an hour, 40 minutes.
So you'll be in the minute sort of range.
Yeah. That's just going to be.
Don't you hit limits though, Todd, today? On Scratch orgs using those, installing lots of packages?
I mean, lots. No, we're not hitting Scratch limits. I don't think. Not in. Yeah, not that I think of. Maybe our devs are. They haven't come to me yet. But I mean, no. It would just be so good to be able to say, right, I want this one here. I mean, there was a guy. I can't remember what his name is now, but he set up a Heroku app that basically pre-built all of his snaps. Like he had like a queue of 20 Scratch orgs lined up, and when people wanted them, they just kind of pulled one from his pool and used it.
The guy from Accenture?
It might be one of the. Yeah, it might be Accenture.
It does sound familiar.
Yeah, there was like basically a Heroku app. So even he could have like sales folk go in and say, I want a demo org that looks like this. They click a button and they then be assigned a Scratch org that had already been built that might have, I don't know, 2-3 weeks left on it. And every time one got taken out, there was scripts at the back end that would create new ones to fill the shape. And I was just too lazy to build anything like that. So I want to say, yeah, just one like that, 3 minutes, I'll be happy. But okay. Alistair, do you know when that's coming out of pilot at all?
There's no indication. I was hoping it was going to be into beta this time round, but it's not.
Right. Okay. Cool. Thank you. Sorry, off-topic question, Richard. Sorry.
Well, no, not at all. It's a really important. So this is one of the things I think has always been confusing people: is shape and snapshots and things like that. And I heard about shape. I thought it was snapshots, and then back in 2019 or 2019, Wade mentioned snapshots. It's like, oh, this is what we've really been waiting for. So I totally agree. That's what we really wanted. A bit like the org dependent packages. That's what we really need. Here's org. That'd do it. It's less work. I like it. Back to you, Keir.
Right, I'm going to bring us home then with the final one. Unpackaged metadata for creation tests. All sounds a bit religious, really, doesn't it? So the bottom right, you got a link to a blog post that I did about this, which was around when I was first working with unlocked packages, and totally agree with what Rich was saying about unlocked packages. This was something where I was building something completely new. So it just kind of sat on top of everything that was in the org. So a perfect use case for that. One of the things I wanted to do was have a bunch of code that was there to help me develop it and to help me test it in the browser, etc. But I didn't actually want to include that in the package. And this was the first time I found out, this is a couple of years ago now, first time I found out that the SFDX project JSON file can support multiple package directories. So the default one is the one we always see, but also you can specify another one and say that's not the default. What happens there is if you create a package from that, the thing that isn't the default gets ignored, which is what you want. It's just local test type stuff. There is also a slight side effect of if you pull something from the org that's new, it will always deposit it in the default. So you have to manually move that into a different directory, but not too arduous. So this was exactly what I wanted. I wanted to have a bunch of code that didn't go with the package, but that allowed me to use it in a particular way. Maybe it represented some additional test pages that showed me it being used in a variety of different ways that I didn't want to hand over to customers. So all good. So this is what it looked like. I'd forced that main default top left. So I had my Aura classes custom metadata flexor pages, and the same thing in examples. I can't remember. That might have been something that I had to have those levels to get it to work back in the day. But anything under examples is basically pushed to my org when I'm spinning up a new Scratch org and developing the package. But when I create the package and upload it, that all gets ignored and it just takes force app main. So one of the things that you can hit is that you end up with, you've got stuff in there that allows you to get test coverage that you don't particularly want to then include into your package. It's kind of needed to allow the test to pass, but actually it's just pollution by the time it ends up in the package itself. So what you now have is this unpackaged metadata that's used for tests at creation time, but doesn't get included in the package. And it looks very similar, except that in this case, if I say unpackaged metadata, the new unpackaged metadata property, and I can have multiples of this, but if I give it the path of examples, which matches my unpackaged, my non-default package directory, what that means is at the time of creating the package, when it's running the test to make sure I've got 75% test coverage and it's available for uploading, it can have access to all that code, any objects that are there, etc. But then once those tests have passed and it's uploading the package, that all gets discarded. So it's only there for the upload point. Obviously, I was running tests at installation time that relied on it. It would have to be there. But if I need them just in order to allow the package to be uploaded, I can get a slightly cleaner package by not including that particular information, which I think is very cool. It's a very small thing, but it will save some pollution. It saves weird things going in that people don't really understand, which is always a good thing in my view.
Do they have separate force ignores? Or do they, in your first example, or do they share one?
No, it's a single force ignore at the top. So I have been, I raised an issue on, I raised a feature request on the CLI about force ignore, just to have some more granularity about it, to be able to have different targets and things like that, to be able to not just have one size fits all, which is with their development team. But I raised that a couple of years ago. So whether that's going anywhere, I don't know.
My top tip next week is, when you're building a package and you've got something you don't want and you delete it, remember to put it in your force ignore when it comes back.
So I think what my phrase is, force ignore is your best friend when you're trying to do this, because there is stuff that will just keep coming back and you don't want it. Yeah, it's good we're on message. That's the important thing. Yeah, force ignore is still quite a blunt instrument, especially if you're using multiple package directories. Which is quite a nice way. It's quite a powerful thing, with not just in terms of package directories, but also if you're just doing regular development using Salesforce, because it allows you to kind of modularize your code a little bit better without having to switch over to packages. I'd say the big thing is the fact that everything always ends up in default, people have to remember to take it out, and it's really easy to forget, and then the wrong stuff ends up in the wrong place. Easy to tie yourself in knots, like a lot of this stuff.